I know that it's stopping big businesses from coming to Richmond, but I don't really know too much about it. I don't think the members do either. But that's just my personal take.
Well, the Occupy movement is really interesting because it's such like a mass movement, and there are so many different people that are involved in it, which is a strength because it's got a huge groundswell of support. But it's also a negative because it's such a factionalized group. It doesn't have a lot of clear goals, and since it's taking place in hundreds of cities around the country, it's not at all organized.
I'm very proud that people are saying something about it. You know, people complain all the time. They just sit around, they bitch and bitch and bitch. But, you know, people are actually doing something. It's collective, it's organized. It's actually very surprising how organized it really is, because it just kind of, those people like, let's go protest, and now people are camping out, there's food, people are making sure they're cleaning up after one another. It's a great group effort, and it's just good to see people actually standing up for what they believe in.
I think people can really do more rather than just like camping out. They'd be doing more by writing to their representatives, voting for different people, not shopping at corporations that support people they don't like. That's a big thing. Like, just don't buy from places if you don't like what they do.
It's weird seeing the kind of people that I know that would actually just sort of complain about something and not do anything about it actually get out and you know, protest and do things.
I mean, I don't really understand it, but from what I've gathered, the students, it kind of seems like they just want to make a public appearance, I guess, rather than actually do anything. But I mean, obviously, it's not every single person. I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to accomplish some goals, but it just doesn't seem like they're really doing that much, except for yelling, which isn't bad. It just doesn't look like they're actually having a productive goal.
I think they're doing a great job of bringing awareness to some issues that have been really developing in this country for over the last 30 years, probably a lot longer than that. But when you look at the history of deregulation in the financial industry around the time of the Reagan administration and how that corresponds to the stagnation of wealth and the disempowering of unions, then you see that there's a lot of correlation and cause and effect here. A lot of people are feeling disenfranchised in this country, and they rightfully feel so.
I think it's got a lot of merit to it, this whole movement. My only sort of fear is just that it gets a bad rap from people that just kind of want to latch onto it because, you know, they like, well, I've got a degree. I feel like I'm entitled to a job. Like, I believe that to a degree, but like at the same time, I feel like a lot of people are using this to try to, I don't know, try to blame the government for their own decisions or things that they've gotten themselves into, like with student loans and things like that. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand it's hard to pay your student bills and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm a first generation college student. I paid my way through school. I have a decent amount of student debt, but I don't really feel like I'm exploited or like that I'm wrong.
I think that they have a good idea, yet they don't have a solid list of demands, and they're not actually concrete.
But what I have heard about it, it's usually just about police brutality and all that stuff, and I think they're definitely more making this just a popular story about fighting against the police than actually getting their points across. Because every time I read anything, like any news article or see any story on Occupy, whatever city it is, they're never talking about what the people are doing and why they're actually there. The signs say it, but the people don't actually say it. And all they do is talk about how the police have been rude to things like that. And that's an important thing to talk about because it talks about how our country views protesting and peaceful protesting in most cases, but I don't know, it just seems like it's getting the wrong type of media and fan base that is what the actual point is trying to make.
Making political demands, so when you start suggesting policy and you start debating it, you're really not talking about what you should be talking about. Occupy is not about policy, Occupy is not about inequality as much as Occupy is about morality. And that is what you really need to be discussing in this country. And that's really where I see a lot more of the discussion going. And that's a good thing that we're doing. I hope to see more of it.